All right. So, could you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself outside of uni? As much as you're comfortable talking about.
Sure. So my name is Jeremy, and I don't mind sharing my name because
Mhm.
usually people just call me by Uchiha or sometimes that boy. But my actual name is Jeremy. Uh, 29 years old, and normally outside of uni, what I'm normally doing is usually working from home. I work for State Farm.
Mm.
I am a underwriter. Usually we're in customers' accounts just going to file for different cases and stuff like that for discounts and etc. Outside of that, I'm just normally doing working, or if it's outside of COVID, I would just go and hang out with family, friends, or if not, I'm just practicing different types of different games outside of that, talking to people, and I'm pretty laid back kind of guy.
Okay, okay. So you touched on it a little bit, but could you elaborate a little bit more on what your hobbies are? Because I follow you on Twitter, so I know you've been playing like Fexo and some other games like that too.
Yes, of course. Usually my hobbies, I like to play a bunch of, I play a bunch of many different types of games. I play Fight X Slayer. I picked that up not too long ago, and I've also been playing. Let's see. I've also been just branching onto other different types of fighting games.
Mm.
But usually now I'm just chilling and just playing like other stuff that is outside of fighting games. I recently just built a new PC, so I'm just getting to know about the PC world and getting to know how different games work on PC. And other hobbies I like to do, I also collect different types of figures. Mostly of the figures that I collect is Nendoroids,
Mm.
so I'm always collecting that. Then if I'm not collecting stuff like that, then I'm usually just going out and hanging out with friends and going to different places. I really like to travel, and
Hmm.
I know one of these days I want to travel to meet some of my friends that I've met online and go to Japan these days.
Yeah. As someone who was fortunate to take the Japan trip myself, it was quite fun. I didn't go to Tokyo though. I was over in Osaka. I went there for KSB, but I spent some time and hung out with some friends there. So it's fun. I think you would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And other hobbies I like to do, learning how to cook, and I'm learning how to cook, and then trying to get back into working out because I know a lot of this with COVID. There's just been a lot of downtime for so many people, so it's just been given a chance to bring up other different hobbies,
Mm,
learning how to cook and learning how to uh, work out and keep a daily balance to maintain your health and stuff like that. Health is very important.
for sure. Sometimes it's a little hard to be wanting to work out, especially in these COVID conditions. But if you can get a small little routine, it helps. It helps. So, how did you get into Under Night?
Well, I got into Undernight. It was kind of a rough start with Unial
Mm,
because I did get into Unial, and funny enough, the first character I did see was Gordeau,
yeah.
but the problem was the younger me was in the mindset of, oh, everybody is playing Gordeau because he was really strong in Unial. So I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna bandwagon, quote unquote, bandwagon a lot of people and play the same character. And so I saw a trailer and I saw Akatsuki, and I was like, oh my god. And me playing Street Fighter 4 as my first competitive fighting game, I was thinking, man, Akatsuki is a Street Fighter character. I'm gonna pick him up and play it. And around when I was playing also Persona 4 Arena, Ultimax, and Street Fighter 4, I played Unio to the side. And when I realized that Akatsuki wasn't that strong, I just slowly went away off of it.
Hmm.
And from there, I would just look at the game because I really love watching how the game was and how it felt. how it felt playing, but it's just I was too focused into other fighters,
Yeah.
and so I would look to the side and I would see players like Squish. Squish was the first person I saw that would play a character like Akatsuki, who was compared to other characters wasn't that strong, but he was winning turn. He was winning. He placed very high in Evo, and when Eunice came out, I decided to give it another chance, and I remember that I was a little bit active in the Uni Discord on Koski channel, and that's where I even met you at CEO Taku, and you showed me some stuff with Koski.
That was what, 2017, I think.
I think it was like 2016, 2017. That was like my first time going to CEO Taku and competing for in Eunice. And so it was just I was having fun with the character, and it was one of those times where other games came out like Guilty Gear Xrd. I played that a lot more than Eunice. I was very invested into Xrd. And a little down the road, I like a few of my friends in the community in the DFW community would keep playing Eunice, like Neon and Four. They were playing Eunice very heavy. And so probably like at the end of, I would say Eunice was out for quite some time, and probably around the end of 2018 is where I decided, I'm gonna pick it back up. In my recommended videos on YouTube, I saw a Kyo compilation.
Oh, Kyo, probably Kuroshi Dive, right? Because he
yes.
he gets the compilations going.
Yes, I saw that in my feed, and I watched that and just saw some stuff that I was like, oh my god, Gordo has this stuff? Because it was just some of the stuff that I saw in Unio compared to Eunice from what Kyo was doing. I was like, wow, this is actually oh my god, this is super cool. And I said to myself, I'm gonna pick up the character that I wanted to pick up in the first place. Because after like watching through tournaments, I'm seeing characters like Seth and Batista dominating many different tournaments, and Redblade rising up with Wagner, and many other characters that I'm seeing in top 8. And then I'm looking and I even see what's his name?
Rakir, maybe? Enkidu?
Yes, I would see him. I was just like, man, these characters are like, or these players are just mad good with, playing. And I remember Enkidu was like not that great, but he was, strong in his in certain areas. And I saw one player, Giuseppe, playing Gordo as well, and I'm like, I want to pick this character. I want to be actually how he was playing. So I decided to pick up Gordo, and I started to play, because usually we have meetups on Saturdays at our locals, and I would start playing a lot with mainly most of the time I was playing with Ford. So he was helping me learn the game, and also learning how to deal with Aurier. And it turns out that Aurier is one of the bad matchups for Gordo.
It can definitely be a difficult matchup. So, we've talked a little bit about how you got into Under Night, but what would you say in particular that you like the most about the game?
I would say mostly that I like is just how the pace can be in this game. Coming from playing Street Fighter 4 now, I'm not saying that, it's like how people are memeing talking about, oh, it's anime Street Fighter and stuff like that. Nah, it's not even like that. I feel coming from Street Fighter, how the pace was with Street Fighter 4 when it comes to the neutral game, how you could just take your time and go along with the timer and pick your spots. I feel that's how it was with Night. And with a character like Gordo, I always felt it was very important to take your time playing your game and not putting not putting everything out in your game plan, because you don't want, in tournaments, you don't want to like,
You don't want to show your hand too much, you know.
yeah, right, exactly. You don't want to show your hand too much in the first round. You want to pace yourself, especially around the grid cycle.
Yeah.
And that is another thing that I was learning how to do. It was just very cool how you can do that and reward yourself for even blocking. Sometimes, you know, you mess up when it comes to, you know, if you want 1 AD so much, or if you know, OS a lot and the opponent sees that, but it's just a matter of pace yourself. And a character like Gordeau that can just make an opponent afraid of a command grab, at the same time with other arsenals that he has, I think it was just a really fun to learn.
Yeah.
To learn that Gordeau is just a popular character that everybody, you know, he can either be the character that everybody loves, or he could be the character that they love to hate.
Yeah, he's really changed a lot between the versions and stuff like that. So it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I think that's a common draw for Under Night. Like, you get to control the pace, and depending on what character you play, you can either force people to respect the use of the system, or you can utilize the system to start your offense or play stronger defense. It's like super cool. So what's been a moment in Under Night that you look back on, you know, in your time playing, and you either think fondly about it or you like talk fondly about it? Like, what's a moment that sticks out to you?
Like, can you elaborate the question? Like, there's a moment where
it could be any moment like that you have experienced in Under Night that really sticks out to you. It could be like you playing something or watching something. It's kind of open-ended. Like, you'll have to make a decision about like kind of what sticks out to you the most about the game, I think, or about your experience in the game.
I think what sticks out to me the most is the fact that personally, I'm just the type of guy that just never gives up on the character that I play. If I'm playing a character that I like, I will do what it takes to make that character succeed, no matter what.
Right.
Regardless of any opinions, because there's just, throughout me relearning Under Night again, and relearning fully how to adapt Gordeau into his full potential, there has been some roadblocks where questions are asked and you don't get the feedback that you're looking for.
Right.
And it comes with that, but I'm just the type, no matter what people say or no matter what people do or what you see, when you observe different players play and you see your character play at that higher level, despite if he loses or not, I want to succeed in showing how that character can be fully played.
Right. So it's kind of like you can see where your character's successes are. Like, you know, moments that stick out are like, all right, you know, I play Gordeau and like I've seen Kill be successful, I've seen Giuseppe be successful. And so it's like, all right, in spite of, you know, some of the opinions where, you know, some people might say this character can't win or he's a little weak or something like that. Like, you know, you can look back on it, or you can look at your own successes and be like, all right, I know that this character can win. Like, I know that this character can do that. I think that's really cool. So we talked about it like quite a bit leading up to this, so we maybe spoiled the answer to this question, but who is your main character and why did you decide to ultimately play them again?
Yes, my main character is Gordeau, and I decided to play him again because he's just one of the coolest characters I've ever seen. He's just, because normally I also am a big fan of ninja type characters, so you would expect me to play Seth.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I just don't like how Seth feels in a game like Under Night. I feel like I should be able to just freestyle however how I can play, how the pace of how I can play. With like Chip, for example, I can pace myself despite, him having I can pace myself because I know I have the worst health in the game, but I have every tool in my arsenal to just overwhelm the opponent. But then again, I feel like Seth is kind of like that too. I don't know. It's just a preference.
Yeah.
It might be an aesthetic preference. I'm not really a fan of how Seth looks.
Right. So
It could be that. I'm like the traditional ninja type player.
yeah. So do you have any sub characters then? Because you mentioned Akatsuki before. You played him a little bit in EL and maybe early ST, but do you have any subs currently?
I know I messed around with Enkidu, messed around with I did mess around with Seth, which it was okay. It's just not, I wasn't comfortable how I was playing compared to how I usually play with Gordeau.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to play very patient. It's just the pace on how I like to play.
Right.
And I like to pick my spots. So knowing how orb is supposed to be set up and knowing how your cycle is supposed to be played out, while knowing the matchup and knowing how an opponent's supposed to react with orb, I just don't like how that feels.
Right. So you play Enkidu a little bit as a sub. You tried Seth, but I guess you probably just primarily play Gordo is to be my understanding, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So with all that being said, we talked about pacing and things like that. What would you consider to be your playstyle, and how do you think Undernight allows you to express that playstyle?
I feel like my playstyle is it feels like I have a very hybrid playstyle where I can change up from going to being very defensive and knowing I can go to being very, offensive. There's times where I can just take my time and I can do stuff that people wouldn't expect. Like if it works, then it'll work. But if it doesn't,
Then it might not.
Then it might not work. And I go based off of what the opponent is doing. If I see that they're doing something like that, then I'll predict and say, okay, they're this type of player. Or if they do something that seems very tilting, then it kind of upsets me a little, and I'm just like, why?
Right. So you're a very player-based player. Like you're kind of like a reads-based, like this is what my opponent's kind of showing me type of player. And Undernight, maybe in that sense, especially since you play Gordeau, like you can control the grid cycle. You can have those command throws to make opponents have to do something. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I just want to know how they react when it comes to a command grab. Are they that type of player to press a button each time I do a sim, the first time I do a sim? And that's another thing. Some Gordeau players will tell me, Uchiha, why don't you sim a lot? Because it's just it's not the fact that I don't want to sim, it's just a matter, I want to see if the opponent is thinking, oh, he's just gonna sim me all day, when in fact I will probably just 2C meaty you all day, or I will 4 AOS to bait a veil off. Yeah. While you're thinking you're gonna veil off, the command grab, and you're thinking, oh no, he's not gonna sim. So it's a personal thing. Everybody has their own play style.
Right. Okay. So what matchup do you think is your best matchup, and why do you think that this matchup is your best one?
Well, I want to say probably because it feels like every character that I've played, it's always something different, especially when it comes to a player versus player. but I want to say knowledge-wise, it would have to be um it would have to be Waltz. It would have to be between Waldstein or Merkava.
Mm, okay. And as far as I understand, Gordo controls the pace against Waldstein pretty strongly. Because he has such a strong ability to anti-air, like in Wald's primary way of getting in is like through assault and stuff like that. Seems
Yes.
like it's a pretty not easy, but like you have favorable terms that you can play on. So I could see that. Yeah, yeah. But what about Merkava? What makes you think Merkava is your best matchup here?
I think because what it's one of those matchups where I can. It's like you know what the Merkava will do, but I want to say just because blocking him is. I don't know if this is a. I don't know. It's just blocking Merkava is in a sort kind of fun to do because I want to see if the Merkava will do something crazy or they'll
Yeah.
be scared of what Gordeau will do.
Hmm.
And the neutral is very funny. Just seeing like I can just stand there and not have to. I can either just stand there and mortal slide or see if they will actually do a long arm to try to catch me dashing at them. And I just like the pace of that matchup
Okay.
and the fact that Merkava uh, doesn't really have like he has OSs, but I know like a sim is another thing that gets Merkava scared, especially like if you're ready for like a dive kick.
Yeah. Okay. So what is a matchup that you find that you struggle with the most, and why do you think that matchup is difficult for you?
Um, I was going to say Aurier, but I have so much knowledge in that matchup. Aurier was gonna be a matchup that I enjoyed, actually. I probably shouldn't have said Merkava. I should have said Aurier, actually. I apologize.
Merkava being the one that you struggle with, or the one that like?
Uh, okay, so I was going to say, okay, so I'm
Oh,
sorry.
so Aurier is a matchup that you find to be that you found to be one of your better matchups because you probably
Yes.
played it with. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
I shouldn't have said Merkava, actually. I should have said
well,
Aurier.
it just seems like you're comfortable with all three. So on the flip side, then what's a matchup you find you struggle with? I mean, Aurier is considered to be a bad matchup, even though you have so much experience. Not every Gordo has the same sort of comfortability. But what's a matchup that you kind of find difficult to play?
It's probably a tie. It's either between Wagner. I'm gonna say Wagner since she's been out for a long time, but if the runner-up for that would also be Londrake.
Yeah, and Londrake is
Uh,
pretty new too, so
yeah, exactly. That's why he's a runner-up. And the problem with me, I get so frustrated when it comes to. It's not that I get mad at the opponent for. Sometimes it's not the fact that I get mad at the opponent for what they do with the character. It's the fact that I don't know how to fight that character sometimes, and I get frustrated for that.
yeah,
So Wagner has been that character that I've just been struggling with because it's just a matter of how oppressive she can be, and each of her combos ending with a veil off to pretty much kill me. It's it's so oppressive. I feel like I just cannot be in this corner that she has me in, and I have to get out.
yeah. She really accelerates the pace of the matchup, so I can feel that. Yeah. So do you have any rivals? And if so, why do you consider them to be your rival?
I want to say the longtime rival will have to be. It's if we're starting from locals, I have two rivals, and that would be uh, Four and Amaron.
Okay. So Aurier and Byakuya. Some people might not be as familiar with Amaran, but I know he's come up around the same time that like Big Black and them have come. So okay. So I know why you consider Four to be a rival. You know, he's one of the people that really got you into the game, and you know, he's one of the guys that you've played the most. But why would you say Amaran?
Well, every time he would come to locals, and he would always ask me to play, and I feel like it's like, oh man, he's low-key trying to flex on me. And you know, we always be talking mess, you know, like just casually talking mess about one another and our characters, and adapting to Amaran's playstyle. Personally, I wouldn't want to lose to that, so I vow to myself that I will beat Amaran each time we play, regardless of that. And we've had local tourneys where he would win. He won one at college where at UTD, and I won one at some of our locals that we had for Dallas Distortion. And so it's just a matter of adapting to especially a character like Byakuya, where he can just do something unexpected and then you'll end up in
a mix,
an hour long combo into, especially Eunice Byakuya. It's very frustrating because he gets the guaranteed web setup each time, and plus he can vorpal strip you, so it's just,
yeah, it's definitely difficult to deal with. Okay, so who are some players that you find to be on your radar? Like, who are notable players to you? This could be like opponents that you want to fight in the future, or you know, players that you think other players don't necessarily know about, but they might be strong in your opinion too. Who are some players like that?
Like players that I see that are upcoming,
yeah,
or that I've fought before. Well, let's see. I will start off with, I can just name a lot of people, can I? Because I can.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll start off with the Gordeau players. Main one being Star.
Yep.
Star has been, he's been streaming a lot lately, and he's been pretty upcoming, learning the character with Gordeau, and I know he's been also playing other characters like Byakuya, so I do see that he is definitely one of the upcoming contenders. Seeing him grow as well, and seeing different other Gordeau players like Noctis and Nimbus at first. I know he was inactive. He was active as well, but I know he's stepped away and now he's playing Guilty Gear. So he was definitely another upcoming Gordeau player. And I also want to say in my locals, who also has been helping me with the Wagner matchup, Zenny. Zenny has been Zenny is definitely he's been stepping up as well. He's been helping me a lot with the Wagner matchup, and even though I still struggle with it, there's like probably 2 or 3 sets on my channel that him and I have been playing and going back and forth and learning how to play that matchup.
Okay.
I've also been ever since Frosty Faustings, I got in connections with Untold Melody. He's been helping me as well in a matchup. Hilda was gonna be another person, but I know I've learned that matchup a lot with him and with Royal Heart. They've been helping me.
Now known as Blooming Lotus.
Lotus.
Yeah, Lotus has changed how he wanted to be referred to. Okay.
That's right.
So, do you have any players that inspire your play, or players that you particularly look up to?
I want to say, because the first player that I looked up to was, it was from playing Akatsuki, it would be you and Squish. Y'all were the two Akatsuki players that I was looking up to, and then with Gordeau, I was looking up to Giuseppe. I looked up to Kyo style, of course, and there was also, I cannot remember. I know there was Ray was also another Gordeau player that I really like watching. I always watch them every time at Xanadu.
Yep.
So I always catch those videos each time. And also, let's see, there's probably like I want to say that guy also has been helping me with different information on Under Night. So I always look up to that guy.
So there are two that guys. There's like the Merkava that guy, and then there's the Byakuya, the Georgia that guy. Is that the one you're talking about? The Georgia one?
The Georgia one, of course.
That guy. Yeah. Amazing dude. He's one of my rivals. I respect him a lot.
Same.
Okay. So we've basically lost a year to COVID-19, but what are some of the things that you've done to maintain your interest in Under Night?
I feel like if I'm just tuning in to streamers and just supporting and keep watching different tournaments like Low Kick Esports. I know since I'm in Texas, I can't really enter some of the online tournaments because it's region locked, and I don't want to cause any trouble, with people, with connection wise. So I've just been sitting here trying to, because I haven't really been active as much in the Discord. I'll browse through it here and there, but I haven't been that active as much in the Under Night as of late. I still would tune in for different, like I said, different streams. Whenever there's a huge stream, or when a bunch of Japanese players have a tournament, or even when Clear Lamp hosts his tournaments, I'll definitely tune in because I'm waiting to see some high level Under Night gameplay. It's just so cool to watch. I never get tired of it.
Okay, yeah, because Clear Lamp Cup I think just happened last week too, so he had streamed that. That'll probably be on his YouTube channel before the end of the year too, so that was really fun to watch. I think Daniel beat Ojito there, yeah. So he beat Ojito in 2 sets, surprisingly.
Yes.
That was super cool.
That was a really good set.
Yeah. So do you have any goals that you're finding that you're working toward? I know you mentioned that because I think like the Southwest doesn't have a whole lot of tournaments or anything like that, like you're not able to participate in some of those, but are you in training mode? Is there some like new stuff you're trying to cook up as well?
Well, I know this year was very like a rough year. Ever since Frosty Faustins happened, that was the first time that I've gotten out of pools for Under Night. And the fact that I've gotten out of pools, also beating another mentor that helped me with Gordeau, Spencer. I forgot to mention, we played the mirror to get guaranteed out of pools, and I end up winning the mirror. And that's when I played my stream match against Untold Melody. The score was 2-1, and I was guaranteed to get out of pools, but in loser's side.
Yep.
And that was just a big stepping stone for me, because I was going to go to Michigan Masters. I was going to go to so many other tournaments to see what I can do to potentially get top 8. And slowly, every time I get on Under Night, if I do, I just make sure I make sure that my routes are still crispy, and I make sure just anything that comes up as far as what Kyo does, I try to see if it can, go towards a play style that I can adapt to. And then I also just tune in to any Gordeau player that streams. I tune into, like, especially Star, like whenever he streams or he's in tournaments and stuff, I just analyze and I'm still around to, because like recently I've analyzed Noctis when he won Low Kick Esports. I analyzed his matches and gave him some good advice, gave him some advice and stuff. So
really,
I missed it, huh?
Oh, I was just gonna say. So really, it's like maintenance, because one of the goals is to make it into top eights, at majors when we come back. So you've been doing a lot of work on synthesizing everything, making sure that you're keeping up with the meta. You're still in training mode, kind of like learning and implementing things to see if you can add it to your gameplay and stuff. I think that's really important, because that's one of the things I do too.
Right, and now that I have a computer, it's just a matter of if I can just say to myself, Jeremy, you should stream at least get on to stream something. It doesn't even have to be under night. It's just something that it's just something that I can do, because I have the equipment that I can stream. And I feel one of these days I'm going to want to stream under night again. It may not be even rank matches. It'll just be like getting on to just talk, or just getting on to just review some stuff and refresh and unrust. Because I know there's a lot of work that I have to do. There's still matches that I need to get familiarized with, especially Londrakia, especially Wagner. Those matchups that I just need to refresh, just remember how to play, because I know if I get back on the game, I'm going to lose. I'm going to keep losing and that's fine. It's a matter of just, I know why I'm going to be losing. I know why. It's because I have been playing, and everybody else has been stepping it up, and that's a good thing. That's what I want to see. I don't want it to be how it was before, where
not a whole lot of people were active and stuff like that.
Right.
And Southwest still has a fair amount of people, Southwest still has a fair amount of people playing. I know Silent's been playing still, Zinni, who you mentioned before, Lid is like a Line from Texas, BM is another Byakuya, from the area too. So, if you happen to hop on and you want to warm up and stuff like that, there's still people in the region playing. So, I think that's a good goal to work for, making sure that you're well oiled whenever you decide to come back and play, things like that. So that was actually the last official question of our interview. But, as we wrap this up, please give us some places to see your content or to potentially follow you at, like on social media.
Okay, yes, you can follow me on Twitter. It's my alias DatBoyUchiha, with an underscore between DatBoy and Uchiha. And you can also follow me on Twitch. I know I haven't been streaming a long time, but you can follow me there, and I do update whenever I do stream. Whenever I do get back into streaming, it'll be the same way I usually get on there. You can also follow me on Discord. It's still the same name as usual, so you follow me there. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I'm very, very chill person. I can talk to pretty much anyone.
Okay. Again, thank you for taking the time out to speak with me. I always like interviewing players, so this was another lively interview. So I'm glad that you were able to take the time out and speak with me today.
Of course, no problem. It was definitely a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure.